All right. So today we're going to do something a little bit different. It was written in the Board Game Geek abstract forum um, within the Meridians first tournament thread by, I think, a user named Evan. That if somebody would be willing to comment on a completed game of Meridians, then they would like to watch it, or they would like to kind of check it out and try to get deeper into Meridian strategy. So, disclaimer: I don't claim to be an expert on Meridians. I'm just as much a beginner as pretty much everyone else because this is a relatively new game, and also I think that the ideas that show up in this game, while they do kind of translate to other territorial games, um, the tactics are so unique um, that I don't think that anyone with like a lot of Go experience or even Tumbleweed experience can necessarily claim to have figured out Meridians already. So this game is, I guess, loosely based on Tumbleweed, but it captures that feeling of hexagonal Go probably a lot more than Tumbleweed. And I'm just going to go and assume that people know the rules to Meridians because um, I'll probably make a Meridians video for the rules at some point, and I don't like going through all the rules. So, if you already know how to play this game, then continue watching. If you don't, then first just click the link in the description, and this will be the a link to the rules of Meridians. So let's see what happens here. I was playing in the second round of the first Meridians tournament against the inventor of this game, Kanare Kato. Sorry if I butchered the pronunciation. I was playing light, uh, and Kanare was playing dark. So let's see what happens. So there's no center in this game. So I played as much as in the center as possible. Basically, I guess these 3 points, or roughly, are the centralmost places that one can play in this game. And Kanari decided to play a one space distance away from me here. So already from the very beginning in this game, it's possible to uh, begin. Um, and before I move forward, let me just zoom in a little bit more on this board. All right. It's possible to get some really quick KOs in this game. Like if somebody accidentally connects their groups into one group, they just die because groups need its path uh, to live. So and also, if the enemy doesn't have lines of sight into big parts of the board, they can't play in those regions because every stone must be placed in line of sight of a friendly stone, kind of like in Tumbleweed. So, given that, I think the best early game strategy is just simply to block lines of sight. So here's what I'm doing. I'm as the first player and having played in the center. Basically, I am now taking advantage of this whole part of the board, and now for black to kind of get around or get through my lines of sight, it's going to be difficult. Now, black can't play a move like this one, which would you know be seeing through this gap in my formation. And if I were to block here, then I would be connecting into one group because that would require black to only form one group in the first place, which is not really allowed. Because at the very beginning, you basically need to make two stones on the board that are connected by line of sight but disconnected like by adjacency. So you know, two distinct groups here that can see each other, and that's how we can set up the game. So I believe that a one stone pie or maybe a two stone pie would be probably enough to compensate for the first two move advantage that's I believe to be inherent in this game. But so far, I don't think it's been implemented. Anyway, so let's see what happens. So since Kanare kind of backed off, I just continue to block lines of sight. This move blocks two lines of sight from black stones. So in theory, this move is preventing a lot of future black moves. And I think you'll understand that in the by the end of the game, actually, I do own this territory. So I don't think it's necessarily unfair to say that you know the beginning of the game we're making very important game-changing moves that really have dramatic impacts later on. So black plays this double attack where black can either go to the left through this gap or to the left through this gap. So how did I respond? Okay, so I decided to kind of protect um, the more central gap because this gap is more central than this gap. So I decided to protect this line of sight because in theory that should give me more space in the long run, even if black gets through this or cuts this area. By cutting, I mean placing between line of sight. Um, you know, if I just kind of cordon off that area, let black get this area, but I get this, then it's bigger for white. And so black cut, and yeah, I wasn't ready to just be like losing stones for nothing in the beginning of the game. So this formation happens a lot. Somebody cuts between your line of sight when you only have one, and so of course you put like this redundant line of sight, this kind of stone that saves both groups in case they get cut apart. In the case this was like the last line of sight, the last path basically. You said this move that creates a path to both. Okay, so he chooses to cut again, and I probably now will fill in here. Let's see. Yeah, exactly. And I just say, you know what? This you can have this part of the board, but I get this part of the board, and actually, uh, um, I have a chance to curl around here, and we both are kind of looking forward on this area. Like I can curl this way, you can curl this way. So to me, I felt like this was a acceptable exchange anyway. So here, black's threatening to cut through and take control of the right side, and if I connect, I would lose the game. So instead of doing that, uh, what I did was just create another path and incrementally grow this group. And it looks to me like in Meridians, incrementally growing groups is going to be a pretty big concept. So now both of my groups are in danger after this second cut. And so probably I'll have to place a path to both. Yep, I did that. So now let's see what Kanare did. Now, um, actually, only this group's in danger on the left. So what I'm going to do is place a stone which would require lots and lots of moves to break the path. So black would need at least one, two, three, four moves minimum to put these group in danger, meaning I can pretty much focus on the right side for now after this. So black wants to curl. I felt like this move, while it is nice in depriving white of further territory on the left, um, probably missed an opportunity to really nail down on my opportunities on the right side of the board. I think if black just pressured these white groups downward, then black would get all of this plus more, plus of whatever they already had over here, and just instantly win. So I feel like this move is probably a mistake. That being said, white getting a move like this would also be kind of annoying. If white was able to connect these groups, it would also be pretty annoying for. So I mean, it's not like it's a. I can't really say what's a real mistake in this game. So now I'm using this group to try to basically. It's like I kind of want to use this little stone as bait to create a nice um, area on the right side. So if black plays here, here, and here, and I continue kind of creating new lines of sight over here between these two groups, then I can block off enough black lines of sight that I could do something on the lower right. See what happens. Um, so this move, I guess, undermines my attempts to control the lower right because now black has a line of sight in here. So I block it, and that'll happen again. And now I'm really enjoying these kind of moves. You know, black basically needs 1, 2 moves to disconnect these two groups. So according to my view, I think this is very efficient because this is one move, but it would require 2 moves to disrupt. And so I could then later, while black's busy doing that, I could do 2 other things. You know, securing this group while doing other things at the same time. So at the same time, this is also creating more lines of sight on the top side of the board. So now I have redundant inroads to the north. So, um, you know, this is a nice move because, well, basically this big black group is pretty much obviously safe here for now. There's 3 paths, 4 paths, um, but this stone has 2 paths of its own on its own right. So that means that if I just cut it once, like play here, uh, that won't matter to the stone. So it would have more options. It doesn't need to immediately go on the defensive when I try to cut it like if I play here, for instance. I do cut it anyway because I don't want to lose the line of sight. If black played this, now my whole ability to play in the north gets shot. So I mean, I need to keep these lines of sight open. And if I play beyond this area, and then black plays if I play instead of playing here, I play like something like this move, F. I don't know how to read notation in this game. And black would play where I played. Now this stone's in massive danger, and it's just nicer to incrementally grow because in these kind of games, it's very difficult to kind of curb the growth of an incrementally growing group. Like, I mean, let's see how it works. You know, I can just continue growing. Now I've kind of isolated this one from his neighbors, and I still have the ability to kind of get in there on the top. So um, black invades the right side, and I invade the north, kind of a counter invasion. See what happens. Um, and now black's making this little triangle, so very difficult to disrupt the lines of sight that are the paths, you know, because every stone has 2 paths at least. And now this one has 3, this one also has 3. So it's like, okay. Um, but in the end, if you surround this group in such a way that it doesn't allow it to get permanent paths, because eventually these will connect up. So if you prevent the connection between like this little group, this kind of network here, and the main group, then I would have a chance to um, kill it and force it to connect up and die. So um, here I I threaten the lower group here, and that would be really nice because if I can create a safe space on the lower side where this group can live, then I have kind of unrestricted expansion with this guy. He's obviously connected to this guy, and this guy is pretty close to connected to this guy. And I could, even if he cuts, I can threaten to connect again, and you know continue climbing around in here, all while not really worrying about whether or not I have to eventually connect these guys or these guys later on and maintain paths because my paths would be down here, safe and sound. So he kind of just lets me have that, um, which I thought was interesting. Um, so he sacrifices this to break off the connection, and I guess the idea is Kanare wants this whole north side. So I place another double path, hope with the hope of connecting here, uh, and reducing his upper side. I guess this disconnect really cripples my ability to do that. But at the same time, now these stones have a path. So at the very least, if they're threatened, I can go back and try to make some temporary moves work, like playing more double paths, and then even if one or two stones die, maybe I could live somewhere else, or at least make some disruptive moves. So at this point, I think I turned my attention back down to the lower side because I started thinking, you know, he's got this big group here, and I have this smaller group and this smaller group. But if I could connect these two, it would be amazing. And there's no way in hell he should really allow me to do that. Oh, never mind. At the first time, I think what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to remove the lines of sight that this big group has from its satellites. So I noticed that it has basically one, two, three, four, and this one was this particular path is really safe. So I was kind of starting the process of breaking it, kind of saying, you can connect here if you want, um, hoping that he would connect. Maybe I could push in here, hoping he'd connect again, push in here, and then, it's like probably it wouldn't work, but it's one of those wishful thinking. So, right. And in this process, now it's like either I have to connect or he gets to disconnect these guys. And I do think that they're still valuable to have this line of sight along this line. So I decided to connect. I'm pretty sure. Okay. So this move, um, it's blocking my lines of sight here, but overall, I think that now probably this is probably where I turn back. Yeah, so the idea is like I really would love to connect these. And now, of course, this group is even more safe. But the point of this move is to then eventually play this move here on, like, I don't know, D1. Um, and even if he doesn't allow me to kind of even connect them, like by playing these two, at the very least, I would be able to, like, create safe spaces on both sides of the board. Like, D1 and B2, and then play some kind of path here that never gets disrupted. And this group is already safe, and if I just play you know D, oh my God, I don't know, F2 and F1, then this path would survive for the rest of the game, and then I could focus on the upper side. So he plays this move, and because it's not incrementally growing, it allows me to cut. So now, the sad part about this is that he can cut, but this move that he just played would immediately die. So he decides to give it a path and maintain the option of playing in this area longer, but then I get to connect. So at this point, like, I felt like at that point I was pretty much winning uh, because of the fact that I have a bigger group with more safer paths. I mean, like, this thing that black has here is pretty weak, but also I have this weak thing. So that's kind of cancels out. But then I have this group with like a really safe path here and a really safe path here. And his ones can actually be attacked. Like I have lines of sight in on their paths here and on here. So I felt like white has the advantage from this point. So black plays down here, probably with um, oh, and I understand that Black does have a line of sight here. Um, but anyway, just at least having one safe one is pretty awesome. and it takes so many to break this, 1, 2, 3 moves at least. So I start the process of trying to isolate black stones that are in the lower side because, the less options you have, the better. And I should have actually played probably here, but I also wanted to give myself more lines of sight as well. So now I have another super safe path. So if I played here, I wouldn't have that path, even though he would not have the option anymore of playing C1 from this stone. But anyway, yeah, so. And I'm trying to make sure that black's line of sight doesn't extend into this left side. So if I have the option of kind of closing these guys off, then I get to keep this safe area. And these kind of safe areas are basically the key point of winning the positional battle in Meridians. After that, it's about territory. So he's trying to get that. I mean, I can't connect. I don't really want to connect here um, because I want to maintain these lines of sight, these paths. So I instead threaten his paths. So now it's like, you know, um, this little guy is hanging on by a single thread. He can cut it at any time, but then I can also start making my own paths. And if I get to play this move here and isolate this guy, then it's going to be a really nice move. Like it's kind of like I finally attacked his um, safest path. So um, he starts kind of trying to maybe like surround me. But what this move doesn't really do is create a new path to this stone, and it doesn't create a new path to this big group here. So it creates a new path here, but not to anything else. So I just kind of continue the process of disrupting these paths, and now it's like if white gets to connect my really safe group to this unsafe group invasion, then well, black just can't allow that. So he connects. So then I continue just taking out these lines of sight, and probably I probably should have been creating more lines of sight for myself at this point, but I guess it turned out well anyway because I think this group ends up living in the end, or no, I think it dies. Oh, I forgot. Let's see what happens. But of course, the hope and the dream is to like play these two moves. Of course, that will never be allowed. Um, but I get kind of close, so black continues there. Now I don't want black to come in this side either, so I think I have to block. Oh no, I think I had to kind of allow that idea that black might be able to get in here, just to give myself another line of sight. Playing here was important because this stone now is under attack, so it's kind of a Sente move because if this stone dies without compensation, then I have like a pretty safe, like a fairly safe path, and also this group is also in danger. So this like is a kind of a double attack, and now let's see how black is able to manage. Well, you have to play a double path, right? So then what? I think I can just continue attacking even. So all this is in Sente, and I don't even have to worry about the left side now because, this is a crucial area. I'm turning my weak group into a potentially strong group by attacking his pieces. So this move, um, the attempt here was to, throw that extra line of sight to this group. Um, but the thing is, like, and it's kind of a multi-purpose move because along the E file, now black gets to play wherever they want. And obviously, I'm trying to keep people out of this area. Um, but the drawback to this move is it's not really Sente here because white has the option of disconnecting black at any 2 points. So if black were to play here instead, then I would be forced to respond. But then there would be not this double threat, this extra threat here. So on the one hand, it was a double threat. It was a double threat that I was able to basically manage because this is not really a threat. This just temporarily saves this group, but not. It doesn't do anything later. So I block, obviously, because here I can manage this by just connecting to the edge. So now, and if he tries to curl around further, I can then just block this again, and yeah. Of course, black has the ability to play here on the left. So now my original connection is being broken, so this group is in danger, and I felt like there's no reason to just lose this, so I decided to play a double path. And I think it's a good thing that I saved this, because if black plays a move like this, and you know, and I don't prevent, like, if black is playing a move like this unchecked, then this whole group is super safe again. And I felt like my whole mission here was to prevent this black group from being safe. So I play the double path to save my stone, and now these stones do technically have a path, meaning that I don't necessarily need to kind of deal with them now, and I can actually kind of focus more on the tactical issues on the top, about preventing this group from connecting to these guys. So um, I play this move that it's another double path, but it also prevents black from playing a double path. And it ensures that I will connect. So if black plays here, I can play here, and vice versa. So there's really just no way for black to connect these two. So it was more of like a hex move in this case, like so. So now black has isolated these areas, which is fine, um, because actually, um, for black to kill this, um, for black to kill these white stones, black will have to play moves that make it difficult for black to make life later on. So we'll see how that works here. So at this point, I'm like, okay, I'm just going to further disrupt the situation. Um, and so now I can connect either here or here. And I'm just, trying to um, pick off some of what black's weaker things or force black to connect while remaining connected myself and poking into these areas that could potentially become black territory. So this move was basically crucial. Otherwise, if black gets to play here and later like something like this, then this group is again safe. So this is just like making sure that the walls can't go up, and this move's trying to surround this stone and say, you know what, I can actually kill you off, but it just doesn't work because I have multiple ways to connect, either here or here. And we see that play out here. Um, and so these stones are growing increasingly weak. And having played here, now once I poke here, black will basically have no good life, like paths in this corner. So I just start kind of killing off, and black sacrifices a piece to make a further invasion here. I realize that now that I have like so many different paths, like here and here, I can actually afford to connect some of my stones in this area to just make it a little bit more difficult for black to do anything crazy in the left side. So that threat to connect back to this big group was unacceptable. I had to block it. And now he gets these two little triangles. And, that's okay. Um, I also get my own little triangle. And it just makes it, more annoying. But at least I get moves in this area. So now if I have these triangles in here, um, it's, um, it's not as easy to kill, basically. Um, so if I didn't have these extra stones here, then these areas would be very difficult because I wouldn't be able to kill them without connecting this path to the main group. And in theory, without this path here, then connecting this would just kill my whole group. So it was great, that Kanare had these, but the fact that I had these extra paths made it so that I could deal with these individually and not really worry about the consequences. So I just continue poking. And I here try to create like a, a situation where, again, to kill my group, black has to lose its own path. Also here, on the upper side, to kill my group, black has to connect all of its groups, since this group has kind of two paths to each other, and this will never connect to the big main group. So the only way that black could survive here is to kill my groups. But to do so, black would have to play it here and here, which would be then like connecting all into one group, and basically black would die first. So that means that whoever connects here kills themselves first, meaning that this is a Seki situation here, meaning that the whole area is basically stale and not tactically viable. Nobody wants to play there. So that means that we can kind of ignore that region for now, and we focus on what are the rest of black's paths. Well, black has basically this area, and so black can kill my group here, kind of, but then black is left with no path himself. And at the very end of the day, I can kill off the remaining path by black. So I think at a certain point, yeah, after it becomes kind of obvious that that black's not going to get any more paths for his main group, that's when black chooses to resign. And this is the final position. Uh, you can see that now what I will do as white is just, continue to play in my own territory around this area, kill off black's stuff, and eventually black would be forced to, and fill in Dame points, for instance, and eventually black would be forced to um, do something damaging to his own position, and that's why black resigned. So this was the second round of the Meridians tournament. I played against Kanare Kato, and there's basically 4 people in this tournament. So yeah, I think that there are going to be more Meridians tournaments soon because Meridians is now on Board Game Arena thanks to Manatee, and I'm happy that I played this game and was able to come out victorious because it means that I have been learning a little bit because the last time I played against Kanare, he basically crushed me. So, but I do think that I had the advantage by having the first move. This is already a very big advantage to play first, and so I do believe that future computer implementations and even current computer implementations of Meridians ought to consider adding in the pi rule, uh, a pi rule where the first player plays a move, and then the second player decides to either switch places with the first player and play from that position, or keep their kind of role as the second player and play wherever they want. I think that would keep things fair because we would see less of these central openings and probably like a little bit more off center. Uh, a slight positional disadvantage to compensate for that really big advantage of having the first move. And I think that alone would uh, help the game a lot. But that being said, I don't think that this was all just based on the first move because as things happened, things got a little crazy, and from here it looks like black is pretty much winning. So I don't think that that necessarily right now in the play level that we're dealing with that we're going to be seeing like all first move wins or whatever. No, I think that right now we're too weak at this game to understand how to take advantage of the first move. But still, to future-proof the game, I do think that it's going to be important just later on. So yeah, I hope this video was helpful for people, and I I wish everybody a lovely day.